Correctly performing the bench press should not hurt your shoulders. Hey, everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. Again, one of these topics where I'm always shocked as a coach at what I see, and I see so many people who are like, oh, the bench press just destroys my shoulders. Oh, I never do it. And I even see other trainers and coaches who say that, and it blows my mind, because when you see them perform the bench, it's like, if you guys would just do clean, good reps with good biomechanics, none of this would exist. Keep in mind, you guys watch me just do a pretty easy 315 pause bench, flat back, no wrist wraps. I am 47 years old. So put that in perspective. In fact, I'm closing in on 48 real quick. I will be 48 this year. Okay, then you see me just repping out 225. I usually do sets of 10 to 12 with that, pretty easy. Again, flat back, no wrist wraps, none of these issues. So how do I get away with doing this? Well, one of the things that I want you guys to notice, number one, see the wrist stacking. Notice the bar is directly above my wrist bone. And then that wrist bone and the bar is directly above my elbow. Kind of a big deal. Okay, kind of a big deal. Usually one of the things that I see that puts a lot of unnecessary torque on the shoulders is when guys have the bar all the way back in their palm. Okay, and if you look at the biomechanics of it, and then you look at what happens to their forearm at the bottom, what happens? Well, it puts extra torque on it down at the bottom, so of course it hurts your shoulders. Okay, definitely high on the list. Another thing I see guys do, bouncing off their chest. Okay, well, they can't control the weight. They're lifting a weight that's too heavy for them. They bounce it off their chest, and the guys are like, well, this person does it, and this jacked guy does it, and this bodybuilder. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. Where are they going to be in 10 years? Okay, just because they get away with it when they're younger doesn't mean it's not going to create shoulder pain. Again, these are the same people who, when I was younger, I remember the guys who did all that. Now they're like, oh, the bench press destroys my shoulders. It beats my shoulders. I can't do it anymore. Don't do the bench. It destroys your shoulders. And it's like, no, that's sort of ass clownery does it. Okay? And again, I'm saying this as someone who has watched this for decades. And I've seen the guys who do that. Those are the guys who, when you see all these guys right now, that's what they used to do. These guys were like, oh, I got this shoulder problem from benching. Well, quit bouncing it off your chest. Hey, control it. Light touch and go. Either you need to do a very soft touch under complete control with a slow eccentric, right? So you barely touch and then reverse. Or you need to pause on your chest, come to a complete stop. But don't bounce it. Okay, they just dive bomb it onto their chest. Well, no wonder. I mean, if you did that on any exercise, wouldn't you think it's eventually going to hurt some of the joints involved? I mean, common sense, people. And I'm not even being like the form police there. This is just basic common sense. You flop around and bounce around like that, what do you think's going to happen? All right, same thing. Guys who do partials, and you'll see this all the time. Oh, no, I stopped short for my shoulder health. It's like, well, learn to put the bar in a correct path and control it. Because I can tell you right now, torn pectorals, doing partials on the bench is a great way to eventually tear a pectoral. The same thing, stopping short. People say, but this guy does it with board. Well, okay, but they're doing it with boards. You're not. And we need to be clear, partials done with boards and other devices that stop it, they help you develop the strength of that range of motion, and as long as you never accidentally go lower, you're okay. Right? But if you're always stopping 2-3 inches short, and you stop right there all the time, again, keeping in mind, we're removing the hardest part of the exercise, also the part that puts the most stretch on it. You're going to eventually lose a little bit of mobility there. You're going to have a slightly reduced range of motion, be really tight there, and keep in mind, we are weaker at those bottom few inches. So you get really strong at doing just the top 2/3, and then what do you think happens when you miss a rep later? With a weight that's probably a bit too heavy and put into a range of motion you were not used to. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Right, this is how stuff snaps. And if you just use a weight that you're always used to using through that range of motion, you come down all the way into that stretch position, which is really where you're going to build the most chest anyways, right? Look at all this data on partials and stuff at the stretch positions and lengthened positions. They do really, really good for muscle growth. This is what best experts and researchers are saying. They're great for muscle growth. Probably the only time where partial reps might be useful for that. Okay, so you're skipping that part. Okay, shortchanging it. Right, we are shortchanging our muscle growth and then subjecting yourself to a higher injury risk. All right, guys, come all the way down. Touch your chest. Do it correctly. Do it under control. All right. Minor point here. Notice also if we're going to get the most stretch and get the best leverages for all that, notice my forearms are at 90 degrees at the bottom. Okay, that puts the pecs into the longest range of motion. Okay. We also have a very good leverage advantage right there in terms of shoulder health. Very, very good for your shoulder health also, even though the range of motion is longer, because there's less chance of that torque and shifting. Hey, the other thing, notice my elbows don't move at the bottom. You see that all the time. Guys get to the bottom and their elbows either jerk out or to the side. Right? If you stay tight and you control that on the way down, that doesn't happen. Again, that's another time where we see guys who they start talking about how the bench press hurts their shoulders, how they run into these issues, these pains, these little injuries, this inflammation. Stay tight. You shouldn't get to the bottom and then jerk. There should be no jerk of the elbows. You'll see it where their elbows will move 3 inches before the weight does. No, notice control. Right? Watch all my reps, even that 315. Control. Control. Maintaining that elbow position at the bottom, that stack position, and coming up. You guys see some patterns here? Do you ever see me talking about these days, oh man, my shoulders hurt? No, but my pecs hurt. My chest gets DOMs on all my chest days these days. Okay, I get a chest stretch, my shoulders feel fine. Again, I am 47 years old, and I'm not exactly throwing around super lightweight. Okay. Longevity. Like just bench correctly, and here's the point. All these guys, well, the bench puts you into these bad. No, you are putting yourself into these bad positions. It is not the exercise. It's the way you're performing it. And if you just do it correctly, right? Look right here. Maximizing chest work, no cheating, making sure the pecs are doing most of the work, full range of motion, minimal shear or torque on the shoulder joint. That's it. No ego. And if you just gain enough muscle and you just get big enough and you get a big enough chest, it's not going to be a big deal to just bench 315. It really isn't. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.